organization aims to erase pathologist border, we are actually quite international. For example, our Axwell Future Vet Pathology Club, led by our fabulous Mr. Blessing Oyule, is founded in Nigeria, and our speakers are from all over the world, Europe, America, Africa, Asian. So don't even mention our audience. When I went back to see our attendance registration from last Thursday's lecture, yeah? We had a Thursday lecture last week. I realized that we actually have attendance from 45 countries. Isn't that amazing? I still remember at the very beginning, I mentioned that we're so proud to have participants from over 20 countries, but now there are 45. It's truly become Lecture Without Borders now. So thank you very much for everyone's contribution. Any little things that you do for us, such as share our lecture arrangements with your friends on social media, give us some feedback and suggestions, or recommend speakers to us, or even become a speaker yourself, can really help us to keep learning, keep developing our lectures, and keep building this amazing community. Thank you very much. So today, we will have a very special speaker, Dr. Aleksandra Zuraw. Dr. Aleksandra Zuraw is a toxicological pathology and an online publisher at the Digital Pathology Place. She graduated in veterinary medicine in Wrocław, Poland, where she worked as a practitioner before pursuing the veterinary pathology training in Berlin, Germany. After finishing her residency and the PhD, she worked in a digital pathology company where started a huge passion for this discipline and resulted in the creation of the Digital Pathology Place. Yeah, this one. So this is an online blog and podcast with digital pathology information resources. I personally highly recommend you to check out her Digital Pathology Place, where you can find tons of useful information. You can also find the contact information here on the slides, yeah? So the next steps in her career lead her into the field of toxicologic pathology through the Canada into the US, which is the 6th country where she has lived and worked. Today, we're very honored to have her with us to discuss what veterinary pathologists do, the route to become a veterinary pathologist, and the potential application field of this discipline, and how veterinary pathology contributes to the One Health approach and also the drug development. Yeah, isn't that amazing? So before we start our lecture, can I quickly remind you of our lecture code of conduct? So everyone will be muted during the lecture except the speakers. But of course, you can ask questions. You can either write your question on our chat box, or at the very end, we will have a Q&A section. You can raise hand and be picked to ask question with Dr. Aleksandra. And also, please act professionally and respectfully. We expect no advertising, no spam, no inappropriate comments. Or please do not include your personal contact, such as email, in the chat box, because anyone can be invited in this lecture. So we want to protect your personal privacy, yeah? And also in order to get a certificate on the participation, please attend longer than 30 minutes, yeah? And also, as usual, our lecture will be live streamed on our Twitter account. So if here you can find our Twitter account and also our website, where you can find our previous lectures. Yeah. So without further ado, let's welcome Dr. Aleksandra. So welcome. The stage is yours. Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Hello, welcome.
Welcome.
Finish the sharing. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Oh,
Great.
You look fabulous today.
Thank you. It's early, so I do have my coffee with me here.
Well.
I'm in the US, in Pennsylvania, so it's 6 o'clock for me.
Oh, Oh, 6 o'clock. Oh,
Yes.
oh, thank you for joining us.
But you know what? Don't worry, it's not your fault that it's so early. It was my fault.
No,
I,
not your fault. We have audience from all over the world. But thank you very much for
exactly.
joining
So
us
I
so early.
thought that it's gonna be good for other time zones.
Oh, yes,
And
yes,
thank you so much for inviting me to this. I'm very happy to be engaged with you in one form or another by, you know, sharing things on social media, by donating equipment, and now by giving this lecture. So thank you. And
Thank you very much.
what I wanted to say, so this lecture you already told the participants what it's going to be about. It's going to be I know there is people who already know a lot about veterinary pathology, but it's more as a high level overview of what this specialty is. And I was very happy to see that some of the things that I mentioned in my lecture, you already have speakers booked for more in-depth lectures, like public health and what are the exact careers in veterinary pathology, which is great because this gives me the place to, you know, introduce this, and then other experts can take it further. So I guess I can start sharing my my video. Share screen. And I know I was supposed to disable annotations. I don't know how to do that. Could you assist me with that?
So, XVAL Panda, can you help?
Dear Panda, please help us.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello there. I think to disable annotation, you have to first share screen.
Okay, I share.
And then there's probably the option where you can click on more, and then there's a button just called disable annotation.
Okay, let me know if you see the screen. I see annotate. More, you say more. Okay, more. I see that. Okay, just tell me that you can see the the presentation.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Nice and clear.
Okay, so I'm going into full screen mode, and let us start to demystify veterinary pathology. I just want to check how to use chat during the video. Sorry for my confusion. Usually it pops up on the bottom. Anyway, maybe when it comes to that, I will ask again. But yes.
Yes, so, in the bottom, there's the third one icon called chart.
Yes, somehow when I share my screen in full screen view, I don't see it.
I know it took me a while to figure out as well.
If you want to look at the chat, I think you have to find it in the more section as well.
More, okay. Let me see.
But we will keep an eye on the chart. We probably can go back to the in the Q&A section.
Okay, so yeah, I will just ask you to assist me when I have, you know, few questions just to engage the audience, and I will ask you for assistance with that because I don't see it. I don't want to prolong it. Okay, so let us start with the agenda very quickly. I'm going to tell you about my journey to veterinary pathology. You already heard a little bit in the introduction, but I'm going to show you this on the map. We're going to talk about what is veterinary pathology briefly. Then we're going to mention and tell a little bit about main areas of veterinary pathology, digital veterinary pathology and One Health, and how to become a veterinary pathologist. And also a couple of best veterinary pathology resources available online. If you are interested in this field, there's already tons of stuff out there that you can use. So my journey to veterinary pathology. was not straightforward out of my veterinary school because, and I want to show a pointer. Do you see my mouse? Can you see my mouse?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I'm just gonna stick to the mouse. So I come originally from Poland, and this is where I studied veterinary medicine, where my mouse is right now. It's Wrocław University of Life Sciences, Agricultural and Life Sciences. So there I studied. I started veterinary medicine with the idea of becoming a field veterinarian to work with cattle and maybe horses, basically large animals. And then I went for an exchange for a year to Spain. And this is where I first encountered veterinary pathology. And this was the year, the fourth year of my vet school, where this course was given. And I took it in Spain. And I was so lucky to be there because there was our teacher, our professor, was a diplomate of the European College of Veterinary Pathologists. And at that time, I didn't have idea what college is. I thought college is where American students go to school. But there are these colleges, and now I'm a member of one as well, that are veterinary specialty colleges. There is a whole veterinary specialty board that manages them, and to be a member of this college you need to have certain qualifications and to need to pass a certain examination. So he was the member of this college, and he introduced us, all the exchange students. That was another lucky thing in my pathology journey. They were in a transition from one curriculum to another, and there was no real course of pathology, so they made one especially for the exchange students. So we had like private pathology lessons, maybe 7 of us, and this is how my passion started. But then I went back to Poland and kind of parked it. This course ended. I had a good note for this course. Not all my notes in veterinary school were the best, but pathology was good, and not even with so much effort. And then I moved on. There were clinical sciences. And for 2 years, I went to another place in Poland where I started practicing. I did large animal medicine. I did also mixed practice for 2.5, 3 years. And I always knew I wanted to do further education, to do a PhD. And then I started thinking, okay, how about to have a joint program? Because I wanted to do this specialty, which was not available in my country. In Poland, we don't have a specialty in veterinary pathology. There are ways to become a veterinary pathologist. I will talk about it later. But I wanted a formal education that was a combination of a scientific education, the PhD, and the specialty. And at that time, I didn't even know, okay, what specialty. I was doing an externship in horse clinic, so I was still very interested in large animals. And then I went on the website of the veterinary specialty board and looked at all the specialties and would cross, okay, poultry, I don't want to do. Public health, I don't want to do. And the 2 things that were left were horses and pathology. So what I did, I went for to do an externship in Berlin, in Germany, which you can see is very close to where I was at the time. And I was supposed to be 6 weeks in the 6 weeks in pathology and 6 weeks in the horse clinic. And I started with pathology and never made it to the horse clinic. Once I started getting deeper into pathology, I knew that's going to be it. I also realized what opportunities there are for veterinary pathologists, because in my country, it was not so obvious to me. You don't really have a specialty of veterinary pathologists. Most of the people who are veterinary pathologists are working at the university, so they're faculty members. But I was not aware of the opportunities in the industry, of the opportunities in the government. And when I went to Germany, the infrastructure for veterinary pathology is a little bit more developed there, and I realized that it can actually be a full-time career. So this is what I did there for 4 years. I was there doing my PhD and the residency. And with that training accomplished, I was eligible to pass the boards, meaning the certification examination to become the member of the college. And my PhD ended, and I started a job in Germany as well. And that was a job for a digital pathology company. So this is where the other passion started. While working there, I went to the US, actually it was in Florida, to pass my boards. It took me 2 attempts. I'm going to be honest with you. It's a tough exam. And when you're working full time, it's difficult to study. So it took me twice. But now I am a board certified pathologist, and I'm proud of it. So this was an entry to another job of mine, because after several years in the digital pathology company, I had a solid background in digital pathology, but there was too much digital and not enough real veterinary pathology at that place for me. So I moved to Canada to become a toxicologic pathologist, and I'm going to tell you what toxicologic pathologists do. And then I went to the US. Now currently I'm in the US working as a toxicologic pathologist as well. So this is my journey. Not immediate passion about veterinary pathologists. I didn't know when I was studying what you already know, probably. So what is veterinary pathology? Basically, it is a study of the cause of disease and injury in animals. This is a very broad definition, but I think this is enough of a definition for us at this moment. Basically, everything that causes disease and injury, because it's veterinary pathology, it's in animals, is pathology. Very broad discipline, contributing to all the other disciplines in veterinary medicine, and not only, because it's also a component of One Health, which is intertwined in medicine in general. And we have 2 main branches of veterinary pathology. It's the anatomic pathology and clinical pathology. I think anatomic pathology is the more famous one, the one that everybody thinks when you hear pathologist, but there's also a big group of clinical pathologists. And anatomic pathology is based on tissue observed under the microscope, or in case of digital pathology, it can be a computer screen and whole slide images. Whereas clinical pathology uses fluids like urine or blood and other laboratory diagnostic tests to diagnose disease. Basically, the aim of both is the same: diagnosis of disease, explaining the cause of disease, but we have slightly different methods, but we both use microscope. I am an anatomic pathologist, so I look at tissue. If you look at the picture in the background, this is a whole slide image of a tissue, whereas my clinical pathology colleagues, they look more on blood smears, on bone marrow smears, not so much at tissue. Although there are some who are specialized in both anatomic and clinical pathology, so they're highly qualified to do both. And the main areas in veterinary pathology where one can be active is disease diagnosis, drug development support, and research. And all of them have obviously subspecialties, and I know there have already been XWell lectures on different animal diseases, and there are gonna be much more for different of these areas. And disease diagnosis can be done in obviously companion, livestock, and zoo animals. And The methods here are biopsies for anatomic pathology, biopsies to diagnose ongoing disease when the animal is still alive, or necropsies to determine the cause of death. So if you already have a dead animal, you do a necropsy, and then you also collect tissue samples to determine the cause of death. And the sector that disease diagnosis is made in is the private sector, especially in the Western world, let me call it that way. There is a sociological shift to give a lot of attention to companion animals that are not used for any other benefit than being companion animals. So companion animal owners are interested in this disease diagnosis, and also sport animal owners. There is a big business around sport animals, around horses, dogs. So they want to know if their animals are healthy, or when they are not healthy, what is going on with them. So this is where disease diagnosis comes in. And we have the public health sector. And I was very happy to see today on the flyer that there's going to be a separate lecture on veterinary pathology and public health sector. So please subscribe to this one as well. And in public health, it serves the purpose of improving human health. So you do treat disease, you do diagnose animal disease, but it serves the purpose of improving human health. So it can either be improving agriculture for herd animals, and it can also be addressing and preventing zoonotic disease like rabies or other foodborne diseases. 60% of the diseases that people get have or can have an origin in animals. So this is a big intersection between human pathology and veterinary pathology, human medicine and veterinary medicine. I think there is also a lecture about this already scheduled, and if not, for sure, this is a good subject to touch on, because zoonotic disease is where pathologists from both veterinary medicine and medicine work together. The second area where I am personally now involved is drug development, and including toxicologic pathology. Toxicologic pathology is not the only pathology specialty in drug development, and this is not the only thing pathologists do in drug development, but this is the area where I am currently working. And I just wanted to give you an overview here about the drug development process. How many compounds are potential later drugs have to be screened, have to be investigated to get just to one compound. So in basic research, they don't even count it. And then if you identify something in basic research, it can be something that goes into the drug discovery part of this whole process. And as you can see here, 5,000 to 20,000 different candidates only make it, 250 only make it to preclinical research. And then out of the preclinical research, only 5, so this is just 1%, make it to clinical research. Preclinical research is before it goes into humans. Clinical research is where humans are exposed to the drug candidate, either healthy volunteers or later people with the disease that this drug is targeting. And then it ends up in one approved drug. And now I have a question, and I want you to answer in the chat, and I will ask my moderator to help. Oh, I see the chat, but you probably don't see full screen right now, but that's okay. I'm going to ask you what do you think how long it takes from the top of the pyramid to the bottom? How long does it take to develop a drug? I wait till I have some more answers. Okay, I have 10 years, I have 2-3 years, 5 years, 7 to 10, uncertain, 15, 3, 4, 5, 8, 10, 5. Okay, 1 to 2 years. Okay, well, 1 to 2 years would be very optimistic. It is actually 10 to 15 years. So many of you were correct. This is a long process, long pipeline, and veterinary pathologists are mostly involved in the preclinical research. I say mostly because there are veterinary pathologists also working in all the other areas, including clinical research, mostly for biomarker discovery and pharmaceutical companies. They are involved in designing and helping conduct and choose the best drug candidates. But mostly, and this is where I am as well, it's the preclinical research. And what's happening in the preclinical research, it is the investigation of the effect of this drug candidate or this compound. We call it compounds because they may never make it to becoming any drug candidate on animals. And the animals that we work with, it basically can be any animals, but the animals that we mostly work with as toxicologic pathologists are mice and rats, dogs, and monkeys. You can also have guinea pigs, you can have mini pigs, and if there is a certain need, you can have any other animal species. But these are the species that we mostly work with. What about research? Where can researchers work, veterinary pathologist researchers? Where? Basically everywhere. But this is mostly concentrated in academia. So you can do academic research, you can stay on your faculty or go to another faculty and do research in the area of veterinary pathology. In the government, in veterinary services, many countries, not all the countries have veterinary services developed in a structured way. I told you that my country doesn't really have official specialty of veterinary pathology, but rather a specialty in infectious diseases. But many countries have a special place for veterinary pathologists in veterinary services that are government organizations, in other government organizations like the FDA, USDA in the US as examples. So this is where pathologists can work. And also in the industry. In the industry, doing research, it doesn't have to be drug development, it can be basic research. It can also be supporting chemical development and checking toxicity of chemicals, different branches of industry. Also very important thing, medical device industry. Medical device industry, it's less talked about, but it's also something going on in parallel to the drug development. So something that you test in the animal later is going to go into human if it does good enough job. So this is also an area where veterinary pathologists work. And what about digital veterinary pathology? Is it advanced, or is human medicine more advanced in digital pathology? We mostly hear about human medicine and advancements in human pathology regarding digital pathology, but actually veterinary pathology, especially for primary diagnostics, is in a less regulated space than human pathology, meaning to do veterinary diagnostics on digital slides, you don't need a regulatory agency approval. And in the case of the US, it's the FDA, Food and Drug Administration. You don't need this approval. So some laboratories went digital already in 2014, whereas the first approved system for human human digital pathology was only approved in 2017. So veterinary pathology was able to make this move earlier because there was a less of a regulatory burden. And what can be done in veterinary pathology digitally? Obviously, remote diagnosis. So this is what laboratories are doing nowadays. Instead of working with glass slides under the microscope, the slides are scanned, and I know XWell has also the capability of scanning images for people who need to scan images and don't have the resources to do this. So you can use this for remote diagnosis. Obviously, you can use it for education. And I'm going to tell you about educational resources that can be accessed via web. And I mean, XY was doing everything. They also have education resources with full slide scans with digital slides. And another thing is image analysis. Why would you want to do image analysis in veterinary pathology? Well, there are certain things in the slides when you are looking at them to make the correct diagnosis or to quantify correctly, you need to estimate it on the slide. And sometimes those estimates, if the values of these parameters that you're evaluating are too close to each other, and yet it's important to distinguish, instead of estimates, they become guesstimates. So the human eye is only able to distinguish changes when they are 25% or larger, changes in amount. Let's say we want to quantify visually a particular type of cell, and I'm not going to count them. I'm just going to visually look, okay, is here less, is here more? So in the range of 25%, I am not able really on the whole slide to tell if it's less or more. And maybe it's a very important information because animals who have 10% would get one drug or would be diagnosed as one disease, whereas animals who have 15% would get diagnosed as another disease. I'm not visually able to distinguish that. So this is where image analysis comes in. And this is also one of my areas of expertise. And I know XWOW has expertise in that as well. So yes, image analysis for diagnostics as well, for mostly research, also drug development support when we have to really quantify something, not just qualitatively say what it is and where is less and where is more. What about One Health? One Health is an initiative, it's a global initiative supported by global organizations, and that is connecting environmental health, human health, and animal health. And there are many initiatives, organized initiatives where professionals of all these different circles work together to improve the health as a general concept. And obviously, veterinary pathology is located within animal health, but also crosses over to human health. We already talked a little bit about zoonotic diseases. And how veterinary pathologists contribute to this discipline. They support the national veterinary services with diagnostic expertise, very importantly regarding transboundary diseases, because One Health is global health. It deals with trade and import-export in different countries. So obviously animals are being imported, exported. You don't want to import a disease you don't want to have in your country with livestock or other animals from another country. The same, you don't want to export it, you want to eradicate it or at least control it, have a program, vaccination program. So this requires organized national veterinary services with structured disease control programs, with structured maybe screening programs, vaccination programs, basically usually supported by the government. And this is where veterinary pathologists can help. And this is where veterinary pathologists from Western countries can help in countries that are already getting there to have organized national veterinary services. Another important aspect is to monitor wildlife health. Why would wildlife health be so important in One Health? Well, one thing is, again, zoonotic diseases. For example, tuberculosis is a disease that is harbored within wild animals. In Great Britain, the badger population carries tuberculosis. Another disease is rabies. That would be bats, raccoons, foxes. There are animals that harbor the disease-causing agent, and they can transmit it to humans. So monitoring wildlife health. But also many economies in Africa are based on tourism, and the tourists want to see the wildlife. So protection of the wildlife and monitoring wildlife health is actually contributing to the country's economy and to the well-being and health of humans in an indirect way, but this is the case as well. So monitoring wildlife health. And zoonotic diseases, as I already said, they very much impact human health, and they need to be diagnosed, prevented, fought. And this is where veterinary pathologists come into play. Also, obviously, diagnose diseases that help improve livestock health as a source of nutrition. All over the world, their livestock is the source of animal-based nutrition. If you don't have healthy livestock, you may end up not having food. In some countries, to a lesser extent, in some countries, it's just going to be economic losses. In other countries, it may actually be that people will end up without animal source of protein. So One Health touches all the aspects: environment, animal health, human health, and veterinary pathologists are big players in this. So now let's talk how to become a veterinary pathologist. The path is pretty straightforward. Well, you have to study a lot, but first you have to become a veterinarian. To become a veterinary pathologist, all the veterinary pathologists are trained in veterinary medicine. So they have an equivalent of doctor in veterinary medicine from their country. Then what they do, they take specialized training. And this specialized training can take up different forms. And I told you already about my way to becoming a veterinary pathologist. I had the luck, opportunity, and was blessed with the opportunity to get an internationally recognized certification, even though there was no training centers in my country. I had to travel several countries for that. But there are also other ways to becoming a veterinary pathologist, and I will tell you what the specialized training can be. And then you practice veterinary pathology. It's not that after passing your exam or after finalizing your training, you're good to go forever. You learn every day. Every freaking day you learn. And even when you are already very experienced, obviously, then you probably give more than take, but there's always something you can learn. And I love that pathologists have open minds and they are open for learning because they have been confronted with things that they didn't know and they know they will. And then you reach out to other people who have this expertise. So you learn a lot practicing. This specialized training, this can be a residency, which I did. Residency is similar to what human doctors do, at least in the United States and in Canada. After you graduate from your vet school, you stay for this residency that I did. It was 4 years. You stay and you only work in this area, in pathology. You do necropsies, you do diagnostics, you teach students, and at the same time, you are guided by more experienced pathologists. So it is kind of a training on the job, but structured. And usually within an academic institution, it doesn't have to be one. It can also be other accredited center, but this is, let's say, the official way to do it. And then you finish your residency and you're eligible to take the exam. Another thing you can do a PhD or a master's degree or some postgraduate degree in the pathology department at your faculty or other faculty. This is, for example, the route people go in my country, in Poland. You don't really have an official specialty in pathology, but you do have pathology departments, and you basically do the same as in the residency. You start working as a pathologist and are guided by more experienced pathologists. So this is basically the principle, probably in all specialization in all areas. This is not unique to veterinary pathology. So yeah, PhD or some postgraduate training in this field. You can do an on-the-job training, which basically is what the other people are doing as well. But on-the-job training is less structured and usually not in an academic setting. You go start working as a pathologist and somebody more experienced is helping you. You learn plenty on the job. And then at the end, if you have the opportunity and there is some program in your country or wherever you're practicing, you can take the exam to become a national or international specialist. And one of the certifications is the American College of Veterinary Pathologists that is organizing an exam, and this is what I'm a member of. There's also a European College of Veterinary Pathologists. There is Japanese, and in different countries, every country that has a veterinary specialty will have an exam to pass. Because they want to make sure, as I told you, many of these veterinary pathologists later work for the government. So it is structured and the government wants to have qualified people taking care of those important decisions. So that's why there's a certification. But it doesn't mean that if in your country this is not the case, you cannot become a veterinary pathologist. You can. And you can do plenty of good and practice veterinary pathology, but probably not in the places that require the certification. So if you want to become a veterinary pathologist or you want to learn more about this, there are several resources online for you. And the first is the Charles Lewis Davis and Samuel Wesley Thompson DVM Foundation for the Advancement of Veterinary and Comparative Pathology, in short, C.L. Davis Foundation. And they have a YouTube channel, a Twitter account, a Facebook group, and basically they're all over social media. They provide tremendous resources for veterinary pathology trainees. They organize courses. Now they also organize webinars on different subjects. And I'm going to be giving you a webinar about digital pathology with them. But I would start with going to YouTube and checking what they have. They have so many resources, and it's all available for free. Obviously, some courses, especially the in-person courses, you have to pay, but there is so much from the previous courses available for free. This is their mission to advance veterinary pathology. You can go there today and start learning. Then, this is more for veterinary systemic pathology online. I was using this very much when I was studying for my board certification. They have plenty of diagnostic cases. This is the Joint Pathology Center located in the US. And they have whole slide images with different lesions, with different diseases, with descriptions. As I told you, because I'm now not doing any diagnostic, well, I do different type of diagnostics because I'm a toxicologic pathologist. This is mostly more diagnostic focused, but also herd health, diagnostic of livestock, a little bit, well, not more advanced, but more specific. And this is microscopic images. In the C.L. Davis Foundation, you will find plenty of cross macroscopic images. Then we have the website of the American College of Veterinary Pathologists, which is mostly for the members, but there is one page, training, that explains what veterinary pathologists do in more detail that I did today. So if you're interested in like the subspecialties or any more detail, you can go to this page and you'll find documents on that. It also gives, announces the opportunities for training. So if you want to train somewhere, you can see if it's in your country or somewhere else, it's going to be posted on this ACVP webpage. Other resources are for members, so when you already passed the exam and are a member, but there is a little bit for trainees as well. And if you are interested in ToxPath, there is a great blog from Robert Maron-Pot. He's very highly regarded specialist in the area of ToxPath and focus on ToxPath. He has different information. There are different presentations, different lectures, so you can browse through that. This is more specific to ToxPath. So if you're just starting to have an overview what ToxPath is and what kind of problems, lesions they're focusing on, this is a good resource as well. And when you're working in toxicologic pathology, there is a website from the National Toxicology Program, Non-Neoplastic Lesion Atlas. This is very useful for also laboratory medicine, laboratory veterinary pathologists. And this is a great resource. And while I was doing this research for you, I also found another webpage that has a veterinary pathology resource page from Diogo Guerra. And he has a page where he lists different veterinary resources, veterinary pathology resources, not only also for veterinary medicine, things that I didn't mention here, a website for clinical pathology and different things. So you can go there and browse through these resources as well. And that was it. This is what veterinary pathology is, high-level overview. Thank you so much for listening. And we already had this at the beginning, but I'm gonna let you know where you can find me. I have the blog, the Digital Pathology Place blog, and you can also find me on social media. You can listen to the podcasts and different webinars. So I guess it's time for taking questions, right?
Thank you very much, Aleksandra. Oh, it's really amazing journey. So I think from your experience, become a pathologist is not a straightforward, smooth journey. Yeah, like a lot of things in our life, it takes time, takes some turnaround.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, I have colleagues who both knew immediately during their career that they're going to be pathologists, and I have colleagues that did plenty of stuff before, did research, did clinical work, and then became pathologists. So you have people from both groups, and it's great because then you have a lot more expertise.
Yes, definitely. And even me, I have background in business. I found myself also taking a lot of notes during your lecture. So thank you very much for that. So I think our next will take a lot of Q&As. So don't be scared about our questions.
No,
from
I've seen the chat going bing, 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 bing. So I'm expecting questions.
We sometimes have more than like hundreds of questions. Yeah. So now, if you're ready, you want to ask her any question, please raise your hand. So our Axval Panda can handle that.
Okay, so you will read them to me?
Yeah, oh, we already, I think we already have two participants raise hand.
Okay, sure. I'm ready to take them.
So by the way, our Axval Panda is a new addition. Before, we always have an Axval dog. But show
I see the panda. Where's the dog? I know.
Oh, yo, who is unmuted? Oh, who is unmuted?
Yeah. So we have Abu Bakar unmuted. Hello, Abu Bakar. What question would you like to ask?
Okay, my question is that, please, I want more explanation on this One Health. One Health.
More explanation.
I need.
Do you want to know what this initiative is? What's the exact thing you want to know about my health? One Health.
One Health. I want to know more about One Health. How can someone become? Yeah.
Yes. So you would like to get involved in One Health?
Yes. Yes.
I don't know the exact ways how to get involved, but I can definitely provide these resources.
Okay, because I have been seeing here in Nigeria, One Health, and you have talked about One Health, then you do some Venn diagram. You say environmental health, animal health sciences, and human health. Then is it all of this one that comprises to become One Health, or?
Yes, so it's different disciplines. So if you're a veterinary pathologist, you can totally get involved in this. You don't need to be a specialist in all. You have projects that are supported from the international organization. It's going to be the World Health Organization. It's going to be different ones, OECD, and also national ones. And I'm going to provide the Axval Panda with more resources about it so they can maybe make it available. But you, with your expertise, if you're a veterinarian or veterinary pathologist and you identify a problem where you are, or a project that is already being conducted. So it's an organized and structured initiative led by mostly NGOs, non-governmental organizations, contributing to the health of the planet, so to say. And you can contribute with your expertise. And I just mentioned the ways how a veterinary pathologist can contribute. And it's not new. It's basically a concept that was coined already at the beginning of pathology in the 1800s. And it kind of originated from the zoonotic disease because it's this interface, but now it includes also environment because this is contributing to the spread, and also our globalization and different aspects like that. I know it might be not too specific what I just said, but I'm going to provide a little bit more resources about this for later.
Thank you very much, Aleksandra. So we will forward the information she provided to you later. Yeah, Aleksandra, I think our participants could you come back to your previous slides to
Sure,
show
of course.
about the resources? Yeah, that's
Resources?
yeah, resources. So
Yeah,
they
make
can,
screenshots.
yes, that would be
Make
very helpful. Thank you very
of
much.
this and just, you know,
Yeah,
go
and
online.
also her pathology space, the space she organized, very helpful as well. So definitely
So
go to check.
my blog is more focused on digital pathology and image analysis. So it's a little bit more specific than general veterinary pathology resources. But I would love you to go there and check it out and become members of this community as well.
Yeah. So we have Dr. Das. You're welcome to bring up your question.
Hello.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Yes, I can hear as well.
Yeah.
Hello. So I want to ask ma'am, what is the basic difference between discovery pathology and toxicopathology?
Again, what was the first pathology
Basic
branch?
difference between discovery pathology and toxicopathology.
Discovery. Okay. So discovery pathology, it's a little bit earlier in the drug development process, and you are more flexible. So basically, toxicologic pathology is where you already have a compound candidate and you check the toxicity of this particular compound. In discovery pathology, it's one step before. You're trying to identify this compound. And from the regulatory perspective, at least here in the US, you're more flexible. In toxicologic pathology, it's already going into the regulated pipeline with the end in mind of having a drug developed. So it has regulated steps. Whereas for discovery pathology, you're a little bit more flexible. You have different methods. They maybe don't need to undergo such a restrictive validation, and you can explore more. In toxicologic pathology, you get a compound that has been given to animals, and you check what this compound does, and then you make a report and says, this compound does this thing, or this compound at this dose doesn't do anything. Whereas in discovery, you check, okay, is it gonna even go to the toxicologic pathology pipeline?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
This clarifies?
So we'll have Shubu, go ahead. Hello, Shubu.
It's Shubho, not Shubu. It's Shubho.
Sorry.
I'm from Bangladesh.
Hi, Shubho.
Yeah, hi. How are you?
Good, good. How can I help you? Tell me your question.
Okay. Actually, I'm an undergraduate, so I don't have any kind of question in my mind. I just joined before 2 minutes ago. My friend asked me to join in your class, you know. That's why I joined in your class. And I was just listening. I was a listener, actually. I don't have any question in my mind right now.
Okay.
And I'm from Bangladesh. So my friend is also watching. So it would be, I'd be very happy if you tell something about, us and our university. I'm studying in Shere Bangla Agricultural University in Dhaka, in veterinary medicine.
Okay, great. Great.
Yeah.
So I hope you got inspired to become a veterinary pathologist.
Yes, my friend's name is Shoikot. If you please just say his name and wish him good luck.
I wish good luck, Shoikot. Is that
Shoikot,
correct?
yes, Shoikot from
good luck.
Shoikot. Yeah, and it's really, really nice to meet you, ma'am. It's really a pleasure, ma'am.
Thank you very much. So, Aleksandra, I think we have a few other questions here from the chat box. Two of them are related to Korea. I guess you're expert in here because you travel around the world. Probably gave more informative advice for them. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so shall I just take them? The ones from chat? what does it take to becoming a competent veterinary pathologist? I think the most important thing is willingness to learn and open mind, because like I told you, and you have to study hard. I'm not, I'm not talking about passing the exam, really studying the material, but even when you have studied everything that is out there, you're going to come across something you haven't seen. And then you have to find a way to figure out what that is, be it by asking your colleagues, going to books, interrogating different resources. And this state of mind, constant from the beginning till the end of your career, of being open to input, being open to learning new methods and to learning, will help you become a competent veterinary pathologist. Also the ability to be flexible, to consider different possibilities. One thing that you may notice in pathology reports is that the language sometimes is pretty vague. They don't say, oh, it's 100% this. They say, we did not find any contradictory information and it might be this. So it's leaving space for interpretation. It's giving your best diagnostic expertise, but there's always this place, this thing in your mind saying it actually may be something else, because I am looking at the fragment of tissue. It's not the whole animal. It's not the whole history of this animal. This is my best judgment as a qualified pathologist, but it may not be the final thing if I get more information. So I think this is important to become a competent veterinary pathologist, except for the training. Training is a given. You have to study hard. There's a lot to study. Is there any site from which we can study postmortem? The C.L. Davis site has plenty of resources for gross lesions, for macroscopic lesion. I think it also even has a document that guides you through how to do a necropsy. If not, for sure, if you go to the Facebook group or contact them, they will be able to provide you that. But basically, there is plenty of gross and macroscopic postmortem pictures, which is part of the veterinary pathology discipline. It's not only looking under the microscope. First, you look at the gross lesions. And career, what are the possible job opportunities in veterinary pathology? And I know you're going to have a more detailed lecture about this by Laura, who's a colleague of mine as well, a friend of mine, Laura Polledo. But what I can tell you right now, so you can become a diagnostician. There are diagnostic labs that are hiring pathologists also remotely. Some of them you need to be certified. Some of them maybe you don't need to be certified. Then you can do also diagnostics at the university. Then you can get involved in drug development. It can be either a contract research organization or a pharmaceutical company or another biotech company, something that is supporting drug development. And you can be a researcher and contribute to the research, life science research with the veterinary pathology expertise. So these are the three main areas that I mentioned. This is where you can work. And then the last one, 1 second, because it's covered by my by some notifications. Can you scroll? Yeah, please, can you tell more about opportunities of toxicologic pathologists? Yes, so drug development, as I said, but also it can be for companies who are developing chemical compounds. This is not drugs per se, but also compounds that can affect and be toxic. So there, mostly the industry, I would say, sometimes research as well. Also, maybe experimental animal models, basically drug development or biotech or chemical companies and research.
Thank you very much. So Axval Panda, would you like to take some hands?
Yeah, let's see. I've just unmuted Dr. Benedict Muiwa.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you
Yep.
hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Alexandra and the Panda. Thank you.
I love how Panda moves his ears.
Yes, and his glasses. I must tell you, I'm really excited because I am a toxicopathologist. Yes, so I can feel you, I can understand you. And I'm in a country where we don't have a structure for this kind of training and all that. And I'm not trying to be, blow myself up, but I'm a veterinarian who have trained himself to be a toxicopathologist. I'm also registered with the Society of Toxicopathology because, I'm training myself. It's difficult for me. And when I saw Dr. Alexandra, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I look forward to us talking after this presentation.
Yes, let's connect.
Yeah, I did my master's, of course, my animal model has been fish. I've been using fish for master's. Then for my PhD, I'm doing fish and rats. So I've done lethal dose, lethal concentration, NOEL, I've done everything. I have international publications. And all that. So currently I'm doing optical stereology. I'm looking at the effect of extract. I've been working on a plant extract, Dr. Alexandra, for over 6 years. One plant extract, yes. I'm establishing the baseline indices, the interaction of the extract to tissue, to blood. I have established everything. And I'm looking for a push, how I can, I want to turn it to a drug because I have seen how local people were using this extract locally to heal diseases. So, and as I'm also into the aquaculture sector. I'm a World Bank trainer.
I didn't mention that, but aquaculture and also research on fish, on zebrafish, it's a huge area. I'm not active in this, so obviously I didn't focus, but yes. Yeah. And you're a perfect example of a person who became a veterinary pathologist by an alternative route. I mean, it took you plenty of years, it took you plenty of education, and you're now member of international societies, even though there's no structure in your country. I mean, I was able to go somewhere else. If my situation was different, I wouldn't be. And so I don't know if I would have ended up where I am. So respect to you for pursuing this. And you know how to find me. All the contact information is there.
Yes. So I want to take this extract to become a drug. That's my vision. So I need that gap to be bridged now. I've come this far. I'm working on the extract at PhD level now. So looking at you show the drug development chart, which we have seen, and I've established all the indices that needed to be established. And it's showing very promising, very good antioxidant properties, everything, tissue reactions and all that. So how going forward now, maybe something we'll discuss, I don't want to waste our time, maybe something we discuss by the side or something, but I think you'll be able to advise, also mentor and give a clear direction. And after the PhD research I'm doing now, I'm stuck with the extract, beautiful extract. I can do wonders for fish already. And we know there are challenges. I'm interested in drug development. That's why I've always been interested in drug development.
I would start with publishing your results, and we can connect offline on this. Okay. And you know, even if I'm not the best person to help you, I can direct you to somebody who can.
Okay, good. But thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, good to hear your story. And now we have Kalina Predira. I hope I pronounced.
Sorry, we really need to work on the names.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, go ahead. What's your question?
Yeah, hi. I'm Carla, veterinarian here in the Philippines, and I have been doing lectures in all pathology subjects here in Veterinary Academy in the university, in one of the veterinary schools here in the Philippines. I focus my research on infectious diseases. Currently, I'm working my postgraduate on tuberculosis, and I also have research on antimicrobial resistance. Now, my question is, in order to successfully implement One Health approach, what should be the key elements to be included for the development of, let's say, an adequate science-based risk management policies to make this very essential in your veterinary pathologist point of view?
Do you have One Health initiatives in the Philippines? Do you?
We're still trying to establish.
Yeah. Okay. So you're trying to establish this on your university, or how are you doing this? Or you just want, or you would like to be the initiator of a project that is under the One Health umbrella?
In the new veterinary curriculum here in the Philippine education, we have already included One Health approach, as well as high emerging infectious diseases in their perspectives in the checklist of courses.
So from your, so obviously, I don't know how to enter a One Health official initiative in the Philippines, but if you would like to have a project that is encompassing this idea, you basically identify the aspects outside of your expertise that contribute to your area of research. And for your project, you can then reach out to scientists who have expertise in that area. And then you kind of make your project One Health centered or under the One Health umbrella, even if it's not an official initiative. I'm not able to tell you at the moment what exact steps, what your protocol would be, or how to do risk management. But basically the general idea is you don't only focus on your discipline, you look a little broader and you see what other factors are contributing. Are there any environmental changes that are causing maybe the TB to become more prolific in some animal population? I don't know what the carrier would be in the Philippines, or aspects like that. Who are the human medicine, human pathology partners in your area that would be interested in this research? So basically, opening your project to other expertise is along the One Health lines. It's not gonna be, you know, officially approved or registered or anything as One Health, but in its approach, it's gonna be One Health.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And we have time for two more questions. So let me unmute two more people.
This is something in the chat. I'm not sure.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
this is Adewale. This is Adewale Yinka calling from Nigeria.
Hello.
Hello, ma.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, this
Hello.
is
We
Adewale
can.
calling.
I can hear you.
We can hear you. So
Adewale,
Adi,
I
will
can
go
hear you.
first? I've unmuted both of you, but Adi will go first, please.
Okay, ma. Thank you so much. It's one of my great pleasure to be here. And seriously, I really appreciate this. It has opened and broadened my scope in this case of pathology and toxicology. I also like to, my question also goes in line with Dr. Benedict. Though right from my first degree as an animal scientist, I've been trying to working on Tithonia diversifolia. Hello, ma. Hello, ma.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, are you with me, ma?
Yes, yes, I'm listening.
Okay, thank you, ma. So then in 2015, I work on Tithonia diversifolia, which is the African white sunflower.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to establish that those pigs that were reported that they have swine fever, African swine fever. So hello, ma.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, can you hear me?
I was able I was able to reduce the death case on that farm using that particular plant.
Mm-hmm.
Now, 2 months ago, when we also have the same cases again in Nigeria, so the extract of that particular plant again, I was still able to use it in more than 5 farms. Then I was able to establish that this seriously work with African sunflower. But the major problem is I work with a professor then when we are using one plant on the on Gomboro and other stuffs like that, Gomboro disease.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like that particular old stuffs, my whole idea was stolen from me. So and since then, having a mentor around the world has been one of the major constraints we are facing in Nigeria, because it's just be like you want to overshadow your professor, you want to overshadow your boss. So now, I would be interested in working with Dr. Benedict. I'm still a student, though I did animal science, then I have PGD in public health, currently a veterinary medical student of University of Ibadan. So I don't know how will that process go on till I'll be able to establish that, okay, fine, this particular plant is able to work for African swine fever. Thank you.
So what is it? So it's a problem if you have problems with your collaborators, because you will never be able to conduct this kind of studies on your own. So I think how to proceed is less important, because you have to design an experiment, you have to maybe later publish it, and you can find the procedures there. But in your case, I think the biggest thing to think about is who do you want to do it with, and to agree at the beginning how we're doing it and what are the steps of the process. And I'm not going to tell you all the steps of the process at this point, because I'm not in your shoes. But basically, yeah, it's as sad as it is, sometimes we have to protect our ideas, because if we don't, then somebody else can take them and do something with them and take the credit. So Yeah, it's a problem.
Yes, it is. So we also have a lot of questions from the
Oh,
chat.
okay.
Yeah.
Let me quickly go
So,
through them.
some of them related to the exam, ACVP exams.
Yes.
Um,
Giving ACVP exams or to be a board certified pathologist. Yeah, so ACVP is one type of board certification. The other one is ECVP, the European College of Veterinary Pathologists. These are the ones that are internationally referred to as board certified. But there are other certifications that are national that you get a certification and it's national, but it's not internationally recognized. Some maybe, I think maybe the British one is, the Japanese is, but it depends on how these societies interact with each other and how much effort they put in making this internationally acceptable. I know that for the pharma industry that is very international, usually you need to have either very, very many years of experience, because these colleges, the ACVP is maybe 50 years old and ECVP is younger. Sometimes you can kind of do by experience if you've already worked in the industry for many years, and your national certification is going to be enough. But if you have this ACVP, American College of Veterinary Pathologists, or ECVP, European College of Veterinary Pathologists, this is basically referred to as board certified. The second, if someone has DVM and Masters in Veterinary Pathology, but PhD in different subject, are they eligible to giving ACVP exams to be a board certified pathologist? Theoretically, yes. Practically, you would have to contact the ACVP. They have an alternative route of becoming a veterinary pathologist. It requires a certain amount of structured training. So you will have to contact them and ask if you're eligible for the alternative route. I know several people who did, but it required sometimes to go to a certified center for a certain period of time, or to have a mentor from a certified center. So you don't need to live in the US or be for so many years in the country that has certified centers. And you can still be eligible, but they have the rules, and you should contact them. But it's not a problem if you have a PhD in something else. If you have a master's in veterinary pathology and you can prove to them that you have undergone enough training and you have mentors, it's okay as well.
Thank you very much. And I think we also have some question regarding the study opportunity, but I guess it's very different based on different countries' situations.
Different for different countries. Yes. I would refer people to go to the ACVP website. Also, the ECVP website has official training opportunities. Yes. But also you can try, if it's not available for you, unofficially connect with someone who is doing the thing you want to do and get trained by them or work with them somehow virtually. Official opportunities is one thing. Not everybody will get there. It is actually a competitive field. So search around, differs by country. Okay.
Thank you. We also have participants ask about your opinion on the remote diagnosis and also image analysis.
Remote diagnosis as concerns for digital. So remote diagnosis, basically it means that you're not with your specimen, although you can have the specimen sent to you as well. So this is also remote diagnosis. I am a fan of remote diagnosis nowadays. In the times of COVID pandemic, many pathologists went to work from home and they are using the whole slide imaging technology. if this technology is not available to you, you can have the slides shipped to your place. And if you need a consultation with somebody who's more experienced in that, you can always take a picture. You can either do it with a camera on your microscope or just use your smartphone, send it unofficially to people you know have expertise in that, and that's going to help you with your diagnosis, given that you have the specimen and totally can review it. But digital pathology is very much accelerating pathology at the moment, also connecting different countries, countries with less resources with countries with more resources via whole slide images. You can reach the expertise of the whole world. And brief about image analysis. I mean, if you want to guide the questions, it's okay as well. Otherwise,
do we have more participants with the hand raising? Panda?
I've just unmuted Suleiman, so I think we just have one last question before we round up. Yeah. So Suleiman, would you like to answer a question?
Yeah, sure.
I can hear you, Suleiman. Let me know what your question is.
I had a suggestion. I was asking if next lecture we can do a case presentation on PM, maybe 2 cases on postmortem, then we discuss the findings and the results.
I think Panda would have to organize that with the experts. Maybe it's possible. I will not be able to provide you these cases because I don't personally do necropsies at the moment. My work is more under the microscope or on digital slides, but it's a great idea.
Great.
And I see something that I can on the screen from the chat that I can address with two resources. So about image analysis, go to my blog and have a look there. There are resources for image analysis, both for image analysis for pathology and pathology resources for image analysis. I have two articles on that. And then the lesions or most common cases in toxicologic pathology, go to the blogs that I mentioned as well, the focus on ToxPath and the National Toxicology Program Atlas of Non-Neoplastic Lesions. They have a great overview there.
Yes, and also don't forget our XVAL is concentrated on the digital pathology. We provide free like scanning, equipment donation, and we're working on a platform. So like ideally people can exchange ideas and discuss cases together without the border. So that's our main mission about digital pathology.
Yeah, so but yeah, digital pathology erases the borders.
Yes, especially we concentrate on the resource limited area where you can access limited equipment and expertise. So with this platform and with the technology, you can reach the expertise around the world. So not only save animals, also save humans as well. So thank you very much. So I think at the end, I will later send a link to the chart, so you can provide some feedback for our lecture today, and also any suggestion for improvement for the future. And also at the very end, as a tradition of our XVAL lecture. So for our old friends, you probably all know what our tradition is. So could you please turn on your camera, and also we will give you like 15 seconds to share, to express your gratefulness. Thank you, our Dr. Aleksandra
Thank you for the
Yeah.
invitation, and thank you everyone for coming. So many people, like over.
I know
that many.
you'll be amazed by how many, like, from different backgrounds and countries.
Yes.
Yeah. So can Panda unmute everyone? So we will probably 15 minutes. It will be very loud.
देंगे शायर का नाम लिखेंगे आप और नज़म का उन्वान देंगे उसके बाद आपको
Thank you so much, Dr. Aleksandra. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Aleksandra.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Dr. Aleksandra, for this wonderful piece. We really appreciate
Thank you, ma'am.
your input so far.
Thank you, ma'am. We really appreciate
Thank you very much. I really appreciate Dr.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Student of Veterinary University of Ghana for this wonderful piece of really
Thank you very much.
Tell them to give you work. I don't want to miss this thing.
Thank you, ma'am. We really appreciate the nice
Thank you, ma'am.
presentation. Flower, lecture.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate the lecture. Thank you very much.
And everyone is
Thank you very much. I'm a student at the University of Veterinary Medicine, and I really appreciate this lecture. I really enjoy it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Don't go down. Leave Mama, don't go down.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Doctor, for this very nice
Thank you.
yeah, one you know. One in there.
We really appreciate I won't promote.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very everyone for your really warm message, and thank you so much for coming again. And I hope you enjoyed today's lecture, and I will see you guys next time. And thank you so much, Aleksandra, for your amazing lecture.
Thank you for the invitation. This was an honor to be able to present to your audience. I hope it was helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Take care, everyone. I've already sent the link for our feedback, the feedback form in the chat. Sorry, my baby is around. So take care, everyone. See you next time.
Thank you. Till the next time. Bye-bye.